When I ask you about powerful European empires, what comes to mind? Britain? Rome? The Ottomans? What if I told you that the greatest European empire you've never heard of was that of the Swedish Empire? Connor and I both stand Sweden, because Sweden. So anyways, let's discuss Sweden, shall we? The Swedish Vikings and their not-horned helmets, like most other people at the time, wanted to expand. So they went to what is now St. Petersburg and gained control over the Novgorod. They expanded down the Dnieper River, reaching the coast of the Black Sea and going to trade with the Byzantines in Constantinople. The native Slavs who lived in that area thought that maybe it would be cool if the Swedes didn't rule over them, so they revolted and forced the Swedes back to Sweden. The Swedes became excellent tradesmen and masters of the Baltic. It's a common misconception that the Vikings only really raided, and while they did definitely raid, they were mainly mercenaries, farmers, fishers, or tradespeople. The Kingdom of Sweden was officially formed in around the year 1000, and Sweden began expanding. Now you may be wondering, how come you're talking about all this stuff? Sweden doesn't look like an empire to me. It doesn't even control all of its modern territories. And you're right, it doesn't. Sweden expanded north, but the main event is the First Swedish Crusade, which might not have even happened, because there are no written records of it until 200 years later after it is reported to have happened. Either way, Sweden gained control over many parts of western Finland and continued expanding, which angered the Russian states. In 1397, after the Black Death ravaged Scandinavia and caused widespread instability, Queen Margaret of Denmark had herself become Queen of Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, forming the Kalmar Union. The Kalmar Union existed for the next 200 years until the Swedes became unhappy and began revolting, later becoming independent with Gustav Vasa as its king. Sweden also sailed to the Baltics from Finland and founded the Duchy of Estonia, a Swedish dominion. Other things Vasa did was cut ties with the Catholic Church, making Sweden Protestant, and founded the Riksdag, a sort of Swedish parliament, not that one. By this time, Sweden had made itself quite a bit of enemies, with Denmark and Norway to the west and Russia to the east. This culminated in the Russo-Swedish War, where Sweden won territory from Russia. 1611 is widely agreed on being the start of the Swedish Empire, with the ascension of Gustavus Adolphus to the throne in 1611. Adolphus led Sweden up to his death in battle in 1632. The Swedish-Polish War began in 1626 and saw Sweden gain the territory of Livonia from Poland and Lithuania. Sweden also turned its eyes toward North America, founding the colony of New Sweden along the Delaware River, which is now a National Historic Site. Sweden also pursued colonies elsewhere, founding trading posts along the Gold Coast in Africa, and founding the Swedish East India Company, which oversaw Swedish trade relations in Asia. Before the Napoleonic Wars, Sweden bought the island of St. Bartholomew from France. Oh, how that takes me back to the days when I watched airplane videos 24/7 and made horrifying storytime animation videos. I shudder at the thought of reverting to my old ways. Anyways, back to Paradox Interactive Minecraft Meatball Country. Sweden joined the 30 Years' War on the side of the Protestants, fighting against the Holy Roman Empire. The aforementioned Gustavus Adolphus was tragically killed at the Battle of Lutzen when the Swedish army encountered the Holy Roman Army under Commander Albrecht von Wallenstein, whose name I only included because it's the most German name I've ever heard. Gustavus began leading a cavalry charge, but he got lost in the smoke and took several bullets before falling off his horse, taking one final bullet to the head. Despite the loss of a vital commander, the Protestants still won the war, with Sweden gaining a lot of territory in the Holy Roman Empire after the Treaty of Westphalia. In 1655, Sweden abandoned New Sweden. Sweden was unable to uphold an empire as large as that of the French or the British because its navy was preoccupied with defending its possessions in the Baltics. For a time, Sweden gained central Norway from the Danish after the Danish-Swedish War, but later lost it again after the Second Danish-Swedish War. Remember when I said that Sweden made a lot of enemies? Well, when two people have a common enemy, they tend to befriend each other. This was true with Denmark and Russia. The two newfound allies waited for the perfect time to strike, and fortunately for them, they had their chance. The King of Sweden died of stomach cancer after complaining of stomach pains for the past decade. His 14-year-old son, Charles XII, succeeded him in 1697. In 1700, Denmark, Russia, and Poland-Lithuania declared war on Sweden. Hopefully this kid doesn't have my Hearts of Iron 4 expertise. Haha! I'm so funny. Now, for being only 17, this guy was a military genius. He personally led his army and was popular among his soldiers. He invaded Poland and Lithuania, establishing a puppet king and forcing them to switch sides. He forced Denmark out of the war in the first year, and he won battles where he was heavily outnumbered. You see, Sweden is really cold, and when it's cold, you can only grow so much food. And when you can only grow so much food, you can only grow so much people. So Swedish armies were small, but through professional training and sturdy tactics, Sweden dominated. Charles's luck started to change, however, after the Russians captured Nyenskans, the modern site of St. Petersburg, named after Tsar of Russia at the time, Peter the Great. Sweden's luck really began to change after a crushing defeat at the Battle of Poltava. Charles's army became demoralized, even fleeing to the Ottoman Empire for a time just to get supplies. Denmark rejoined the war, and Sweden's puppet king was overthrown. Poland's puppet king was overthrown. While attacking a fort in Denmark at night, Charles, while in his trench, peered out towards the fortress to see the enemy, despite the fact that a foreign engineer helping build the trenches told him to step down because there might be enemy snipers. And the Swedish engineers told him that if you tell the king to do something, he's not going to listen. And that was when a bullet flew right through the king's temple, killing him instantly. Sweden lost the war, and with it, its empire. Sweden continued to decline, losing the Baltics, St. Petersburg, and Swedish Pomerania. In the Napoleonic Wars, Sweden joined on the side of Britain, even though Napoleon had put one of his generals on the throne. Russia, who was allied with France at the time, invaded Finland as a result of this. Afterwards, Russia switched sides and joined the coalition along with Sweden, now Finlandless. Sweden invaded Norway, who were allied with Napoleon, having Karl Johan be crowned King of Sweden and Norway, creating a personal union between the two countries. After the war, Sweden didn't do much except for give its Caribbean islands back to France because they were spending more money than they got on them. Sweden and Norway was invited to the Berlin Conference to get a shot at taking pieces of Africa. They proposed that they get modern-day Ghana and the Congo. Ghana ended up going to the British, who had actually set foot there since 1721, and the Congo went to Belgium, even though Sweden should have got it because Belgium sucks a lot. The final nail in Sweden's coffin came in 1905, when the Norwegian Parliament proclaimed its independence from Sweden. In conclusion, the Swedish Empire is underrated, and I really wonder what the world would be like if Sweden had won at Poltava and Charlie 12 didn't stand up in a trench. This might not have changed anything, but the best outcome is that stupid Belgium doesn't get the Congo. Thank you for watching. Let me know your ideas for the next empire I should cover. Sources are in the description. This has been Playhouse Films, and thank you for watching.